Good morning, friends. Welcome back to Read Aloud. Today is Thursday, April 16th. So in front of you, you should either have a blank piece of paper and a pencil, or you can go into the distance learning folder for first grade, go to Read Aloud this week, and click on today, Thursday, April 16th. And there you'll find the book, The Junkyard Wonders, and the sheet that we're going to fill out while we are reading the book, as well as your exit ticket. All right, so now that I've shown you where to find all of that, I'm going to go back over here to the book. All right. So today the book that we're reading is called The Junkyard Wonders. Now, before we start reading this book, I just want to tell you all that in this book, there's a very mean character that uses a really awful word that calls this girl and her friends a really awful word. And the word is written in the book. I'm not going to say that word because I don't believe that anyone should ever say that word. So I will just say our word instead of saying the actual word. Um, and even though it's in this book, it is never, ever, ever okay to use this word. But it is in the book, so I'm still going to read the book. I'm just not going to read that word. All right. Now that I've said that, we can get started. I'll hide this right here because it's going to block the picture. Okay. So remember, as we are reading, we're going to be thinking about our story elements because we can tell from the cover of this book that this is a fiction story. And we are also going to be thinking about how the character is feeling as the story goes on. Now, this is a little bit of a longer book today, so we're again going to split it into two parts, so we'll read the rest of it on Friday. All right, The Junkyard Wonders by Patricia Polato. Oh my goodness, my face is in the way again. Here we go. My heart sang as I walked to school with all the kids on my grandma's block on the first day of school. My mother and father had decided that I could stay just for 1 year there with my father and grandma in Michigan. In my old school in California, the kids all knew that I had just learned to read, that I used to be dumb. Everyone knew that I was always in special classes. Here, no one would know. No one would tease me, and I already had a new friend, Kay. But when I got to the front steps of the school, all of the neighborhood kids ran off to their classes. And when I saw Kay and waved to her, she didn't wave back. I just stood there not knowing where to go. And when I showed two strange girls my class card, they got funny looks on their faces. You're in Mrs. Peterson's class, they said. Upstairs, room 206. All right, now before we can go any further, we can already answer the first question. Who is the main character? So if I'm going to be working on a blank piece of paper, I'm going to write the number 1 because this is the first question. And I'm going to write my answer next to this. There it is, number 1. So do that now. All right, so in order to find out who the main character is, I'm actually going to go back, not forward, back to the front cover. We see this girl on the front cover, and she's probably going to be the main character. And we know that that's true because this is the same little girl right here, and the story is being told from her perspective. So we see in this first sentence right here, she uses words like my and I to describe or to tell the story. So that means that the story is being told from her perspective or from her point of view. So the little girl is the main character. And we're going to call her the little girl because we don't know her name yet. And we might not learn her name, but she is the main character. Let's keep going. Room 206. I found it. In the classroom, a gawky boy I'd never seen before yelled out, "Hey, the name's Tom. Not spelled Tom, but Thom. Sit here next to me." He had huge dark rimmed glasses that magnified his eyes. I sat down and looked around. Everyone seemed really different in one way or another. I couldn't put my finger on it. Suddenly, everyone snapped to attention. Our teacher was standing in the doorway. Short and stout, she seemed a little scary, brusque. But her eyes were friendly. I was sure of that. She walked up to the podium at the front of the room and slammed an enormous dictionary on top of it. Then she adjusted her glasses and without saying hello or how are you, she started reading in this no nonsense voice. The definition of genius, she began. All right, before we go any further, we're going to answer the next question as well. Probably should have answered it on the last page, but we can always flip back. Um, the next question, question number 2, is what do we know about the main character so far? So we were introduced to the main character at the very beginning of the story. We already know something about her. You're going to put a number 2 underneath where you wrote number 1, and you're going to write down what we know about the main character so far. So right here, you'll see number 1 and number 2. And next to number 2, you'll write down what we know about the main character so far. I'll go back to this page right here. Go ahead. All right, so some important things that we know about the main character is that this is her first day at a brand new school. She's staying with her grandma. She is staying with her grandma for the rest of the school year as well, instead of going back to California like she usually does when the summer ends. So one thing that we know about the main character is that this is her first day at a new school. And something else that we should notice is that she says that she was always in special classes. So she wasn't in classes that were similar to those that kids her age are typically in. She was in a special class for some kids who need some extra help doing things. Um, and we know that because it says right over here, the kids all knew that I had just learned to read. So she's a little bit behind the rest of her class, or she was a little bit behind the rest of her classmates. So she needed a little bit of help. So she was typically in what she called special classes. Um, so the two things that we should have written down are that we know that this is the first day at a new school for the main character, and that she's usually in what she calls special classes. All right, so we are in Mrs. Peterson's class, and she has slammed down the book, and she's about to tell us the definition of genius. Genius is neither learned nor acquired. It is knowing without experience. It is risking without fear of failure. It is perception without touch. It is understanding without research. It is certainty without proof. It is ability without practice. It is invention without limitations. It is imagination without boundaries. It is creativity without constraints. It is extraordinary intelligence. Then she took a deep breath and slammed the book shut so hard it sounded like a gunshot. Welcome to the Junkyard. I am your teacher, Mrs. Peterson. She started walking around the room looking at each of us. I want you all to write the definition on the blackboard. Post it on your mirrors. Look at it every day. Memorize it. Definition describes every one of you. Mrs. Peterson sounds like a great teacher. She's telling all of her kids that they're geniuses. She's probably making them feel really, really confident about themselves. Let's keep going. At recess that day, I couldn't wait to ask Tom, why is our class called the Junkyard? Because we are, didn't you notice? All of us are different, odd, like stuff in a junkyard. He turned toward the playground. See that super tall kid over there? That's Jody Beach. He's got some disease that makes him grow too fast. He's my bodyguard. No one picks on me when he's around. He smiled. Over there, that kid? That's Gibby McDonald. He has Tourette's. There's Stuart Bean. He has diabetes. Me, well, I have trouble seeing. They call me Sissy Boy because, even so, I love ballet. It's my life. I take ballet too. At least I did in California. I knew there was something about you I liked, Tom said. I felt I had found a soulmate in Tom, and since he thought Jody was nifty, so did I. But it only helped a little. All right, let's pause right here. We're going to answer the next couple of questions, actually. Um, who are some other important characters? So this is the third question. You're going to write down a number 3, and you're going to write down who are some other important characters. Do that now. All right, so when we're looking for some other important characters, we're going to go back here. We know that Mrs. Peterson absolutely is an important character. She is their teacher, so they're going to be spending a lot of time together. And just like how they're going to be spending a lot of time with Mrs. Peterson, they're also going to be spending a lot of time with each other. So the other important characters in this book are Mrs. Peterson, Tom, and the other kids in the junkyard class. So right next to where you have number 3, you can list the other important characters. Mrs. Peterson, Tom, spelled Phom. He made that very clear. And the kids in the junkyard class. And we know that if there are more names that we learn or other important characters that pop up in the story, um, we can add them to our list. Let's keep going. When I got home that night, I told Dad and Grandma about my day. I tried to be brave and not let them know how sad I really was. But just as Dad was tucking me in at bedtime, I finally burst into tears. Oh, Daddy, I've been put in a special class again. It's called the Junkyard. Junkyard? What junkyard? My dad asked. That's what everybody calls our class. Darlin', my dad said, you are not a quitter. Stick it out for a month. If the class doesn't get better, I promise I'll send you back to California. I didn't tell him that when I tried to sit with Kay and her friends at lunch, she said that junkyard kids couldn't sit at their table. Doesn't sound like Kay is a very good friend. And it looks like the little girl is super sad right now. So we've also met another important character here on this page. This is the little girl's dad. So you can add that to your list. All right. So now we're going to answer the next question. What is the setting of the story? Take about 30 seconds to write that down now. Go ahead. All right, so when we're looking at the setting of the story, we're looking at where the story has taken place. So, up until the most recent page that we've read, it's been taking place at the girls' new school. Then, on this last page that we read, she's in her house. So we know that when the setting is in the main character's house or in buildings around the main character's house, that the setting is the main character's neighborhood. So the setting of this story is the girls' neighborhood. All right, my friends, let's keep going. The next day, Mrs. Peterson arrived in class with a basket full of small glass bottles. Today, she said, we are going to determine your tribes. She gave us each a vial. Tip some of the liquid on your wrist. Smell? Some of you smell like lemons, some cinnamon, some almonds. Now, can you smell someone who has the same scent as you? They will be part of your tribe for the year. I sniffed my own wrist. Vanilla. We all strolled around the classroom sniffing each other's wrists. I sniffed a boy's wrist who was wearing a homespun shirt, and he sniffed mine. Vanilla, we both said. My name's Gilbert McDonald. Call me Gibby. Then the two of us fanned out. I found a girl who smelled like vanilla. Looks like you are in my tribe, I chirped. She just smiled, but didn't answer me. Gibby came over with Tom. Vanilla, he announced. My bodyguard Jody is too. So Tom, Gibby, Jody, and I were a tribe. I asked the shy girl her name. She wrote it down on a piece of paper. Ravan Sauls. Tom told me later that she hadn't spoken as long as he had known her. So the members of the little girl's tribe are also going to be important characters. So you can also write down the kids in the little girl's tribe under important characters. Let's keep going. From then on, whenever there was a project to be done, Mrs. Peterson had the tribes work together. Ravan never talked, but she was a whiz at math. Gibby had tics and shouted for no reason sometimes, but his father was a professor of engineering, and Gibby loved to build things. Boy, was he smart. Jody loved reading, everything, particularly poetry. He even wrote poems of his own. Tom made all of us laugh. He was so clever. Me, of course, I could draw, so I became the official journal keeper. The borders were filled with my drawings. It wasn't long before Tom, Jody, Gibby, Ravan, and I were best friends. We did almost everything together. Even after school, we visited Jody, who lived out on a farm east of town. His mother decorated cakes, and she was working on the tallest wedding cake I had ever seen. We all helped her. So now it looks like the little girl is feeling really happy because she found a group of friends. One night, Gibby's dad set up a telescope in his back field and invited the whole class over to look. We could see Saturn with our naked eyes, but with the telescope we could see Saturn's rings. We never did go to Ravan's house. She lived in a foster home, and I don't think she was too happy there. But her foster mother let her paint beautiful designs on silk from an old World War II parachute, which she brought to school to show us. My dad arranged for the whole class to go to a neighbor's farm and have a hayride that took us way off into the fields. So it sounds like these kids are going on lots of adventures together. Our class was special, all right. The Junkyard kids were pretty amazing to begin with. Mrs. Peterson showed us how to shine. She even helped us make badges that said Junkyard Wonders. So you can be proud of who you are, she said. That That day we got the badges. Mean boy came running up to us. Weirdos, R words. Now you even wear dumbbell pins. A boy named Barton Poole grabbed the pin off my shirt. I started to cry, but then Tom and Gibby ran at Barton and his friends. Right, one of his friends said. Now Twinkle Toes and the jerking fool are going to hurt us. We are so scared. Just about then, Jody, big wonderful Jody, appeared from nowhere. The mean boys sure backed off. Someday you aren't going to have this freak to guard you, Barton snarled as he stalked away. So this Barton guy's really, really mean. But this page is where we figure out the problem of the story. So you're going to write the number 5 underneath where you wrote your last answer and answer the next question. What is the problem in this story? Go ahead. All right. So the problem we know is on this page. Um, so more recently, on the last couple of pages, the little girl was feeling pretty good about being in her class. She was making some friends. They quickly became her best friends. She had her own tribe, so she felt like she belonged somewhere. But then on this page, we see that this boy right here is really, really mean to the kids in the junkyard class. So that's actually the problem of this story is that other kids are being mean to the kids in the junkyard class. And they have no reason to be this mean. You're going to write number 5. And the problem of the story is other kids are being mean to the kids in the junkyard class. Let's keep going. Let's move my face. Here we go, up here, and nope, 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 nope. Sorry, friends. I don't think I'll ever stop doing that. All right. That day, Mrs. Peterson could see that we were badly shaken. Gibby actually spoke up. Mrs. Peterson, he said, we're all junkyard kids, even though you try to make us feel better about it, we're throwaway junk, and everyone knows it. Oh, my dear, that's where you're wrong, she said wistfully. Every one of you is my wonder. Don't you realize what a junkyard really is? A place for things that nobody wants, Jody answered. Oh, it is a place full of wondrous possibilities. What some see as bent and broken throwaways are actually amazing things waiting to be made into something new, something unexpected, something surprising. We all looked puzzled. All right, class, get your coats. We are walking to the Melvin Beach junkyard right now, she exclaimed. Hmm, they're going on a field trip. They're walking to the junkyard. And here I go over here. All right. At the junkyard, Mrs. Peterson stopped us. Now form into your tribes. Then collect everything that you think could be made into something new. Remember, wonders, here's your chance. Forget what the object was. Imagine what it could be. Each of the tribes set off across the junkyard, collecting wheels, doors, handles, latches. We vanillas hadn't gotten just the right junk, though, until almost the end of our visit. As Jody, Ravan, Tom, and I were climbing over our last pile of assorted junk, Gibby called to us. He was standing under a shed roof looking up. There, hanging from the roof strut, was an old wrecked model airplane. Gib, that's just an old torn up plane, Tom said, turning to leave. No, Gibby said, it's a beauty. I see it. We are going to rebuild it into something bigger, better, something wonderful, something that will defy gravity itself. This plane is going to fly all the way to the moon. There was such wonder in his eyes that we knew we had just what we needed. All right, my friends, that is all we are going to read today. We're going to read the rest of this tomorrow. So, for your exit ticket today, you are going to be answering this question. In The Junkyard Wonders, how do the main character's feelings change from the beginning to the middle of the story? What caused her feelings to change? Make sure to use evidence from the text and write in complete sentences. So, this is something very similar. We've had lots and lots of practice with this. So, we are going to go back to the beginning. Here we go. So, at the very beginning, um, we see that the main character is excited to be at her new school. She thinks that she's going to be in a typical classroom that she's always wanted to be in, but instead, she goes to what's called the Junkyard class with Mrs. Peterson. Um, and she's pretty sad about it because the other kids in the school don't like kids in the Junkyard class. But then she forms her tribe. That means that she has a group of people that she feels like she belongs with at the school, which is really, really important for everybody. So she's got her vanilla group, and she's feeling really excited. She's feeling like she belongs, and she hangs out with these people or these kids all the time. They become her best friends. They even stick up for each other when they're being bullied by this really mean boy or other mean kids in the school. So Mrs. Peterson takes them to the junkyard, and it looks like they're feeling pretty inspired right now. They're using their imaginations to think of what this airplane could be. So you're going to use that information and this. Keep having to move my face. Here we go. You're going to use this table to answer your exit ticket. Remember, you're answering the question, how did the main character's feelings change from the beginning to the middle of the story? You're saying what caused her feelings to change, and we need to make sure that we're using evidence from the story. So you need to use every single one of these blocks in this chart. All right, my friends, great work today. I look forward to seeing your exit tickets and have an awesome rest of your day.